Hi everybody, welcome again to another program of Yeshiva Classroom. We're here every week at this time on the public access channels, and also you can catch us on the internet by just tuning in Yeshiva Classroom. And today we have a very unique guest, very unique guest. Everyone is unique, that's for sure. But he has an interesting story to tell, and he's motivated to find a shidduch. So we're working on that too. But let me start off by showing you this sign, which says, "How Jews became chosen." Right? How Jews became chosen. How Jews became chosen. And really, it's a very simple way, and I want to explain to you because it's a very important concept. And that is that basically, if we look in Bereshit 26:5, chapter 26:5, it says over there that Abraham observed all the commandments, directives, and ordinances before the Torah was given. He, through observation, rationalization, Ruach HaKodesh, was able to perform and observe these commandments way before Moshe received the Torah of Mount Sinai. And we have to wonder that was a really tremendous chore. That was a tremendous chore. And because he was able to come up with this solution that God is in the universe and there is a plan for man, therefore God rewarded him. He rewarded him in saying that his posterity will be greatness. His posterity will be greatness. And that's why we find in all the wanderings and exiles that we've been to, no matter what the circumstances are, there's always a Jew in every arena of the life cycle of the community in which he lives. And just today, we're doing this on October 2nd, 10/2/23, October 2nd, 2023. And it was announced on the TV, Professor Whiteman and another co-founder developed the vaccination for COVID-19, and he received the Nobel Prize. That was announced on 10/2/23. So wherever we are, why aren't we wondering how come we're in these exiles? And it's really to teach us that we are chosen to live by the Torah, by the laws, by the commandments and the directives, so that we will live. In many places it says over there, in Deuteronomy chapter 4 verse 1, it says over there, do the commandments and you will live. 8:1 in Deuteronomy, observe all the commandments and you will live. Live meaning a good life on this world. A good life on this world, rules, regulations, and all kinds of great things will happen to you, and you'll live a happy life and a restful life and a peaceful life in this world life, right? Do the commandments and you will live, and in addition you will earn the next world. Again, what was his reward? What was his reward of? I want you to, if you want to repeat something, have a question, don't hesitate to. We're going to talk about this young man because he's motivated to find a beautiful Jewish girl, very serious on Torah. He has a Seder and learning every day. He davens at a gartel and it's really a Kiddush Hashem the way he conducts himself, and that's the way we all should conduct ourselves. That's why we've been into exile, because we are to set an example to the people around us, to the Gentiles, by example, to showing them what a beautiful life it is to live by the Torah. You know, what happened when Adam was created? God spoke to him about many things and about not eating the apple, but his generations went downhill. So he started with Noah. And Noah, he said to Noah, I'll give you 7 rules that you can follow. That was given to him and was incorporated into the Torah. What are the 7 rules? 1, that you should not believe in idols. That's the first one. Idolatry. There's one God. And you know, you look around us and there's a billion people that going into follow the church, and they follow a man God, a God who committed adultery on a married woman, and that's it. That they believe it. And that's why I'm not looking to convert anybody. Nobody would want to convert. But there are Noahite congregations. Belong to them. Look it up on the internet. They believe in a God. So what are the 7 mitzvahs of Noah, which is incorporated in the Jewish Bible, aka Torah? 1, that there is one God. 2, you should not blaspheme the name of God. 3, do not murder. 4, do not commit adultery. 5, not stealing. 6, to set up courts. And 7, to be kind to animals. And there's particulars. But before you know it, they had built the Tower of Babel, and they're ready to fight God after a few generations. So listen. So this is what God proposed. Abraham came to the fore. Who was Abraham? You know, it's mentioned that the generations are from Noah to Abraham. It says in the Torah that God will dwell with in the tents of Shem. That was one of his sons. Noah had 3 sons: Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Right? Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And God said that my presence will dwell in the tents of Shem, one of his sons, whom the Jewish people are descended from. And you see, he was given a reward for fun. I'm going to go into that if we have time. He was given a reward to his posterity, that they will have greatness. His children will be great. His children, his posterity will be great. And all the great generational leaders from Noah to Abraham are mentioned in the Bible. Not that they all were 100% righteous, but they all had characteristics, and they had personalities, and Bino, Didas, Heskel. They had one or more of these qualities that was inherited, that was given to Abraham. And Abraham was able to, through rationalization, observation of all around, and what withal, came to the conclusion that there is a God in the universe, and there is a plan for man to follow. And he gave that over to Abraham. Abraham, so what are the 10 generations? You have Abraham, you have Noah, you have Shem, Pakshad, Shelach, Aver, Peleg, Rui, Serug, Terach, Nahar, and Abraham. Right? Yeah, it's in the Torah. Just like you should keep the commandments and the mitzvahs. For what? Because that's the greatness that we were given to perform to the world. And if we don't accept that greatness, you know, a lot of times people have a greatness, but they use it for secular purposes. It's okay, but most of it should be for Judaism and setting an example of how one should conduct his life of work, of rest, and what to eat. There's a parameter in which one should fall into, and we should be a light into the nations by living that type of an example. And that's why we were exiled, because we failed to do that. And just remember the last exile where 6 million were killed. Why? Look, I don't have a reason, but I can conjure probably what had happened, because communism in 1917 took over the whole country, and the Jews were the first one to throw away what they had and say, let's go into equality for all, and they ran away from the mitzvahs of the Torah, and they embraced some form of equality that seemed like a good thing for all. But we see what happened to communism, and we see what happened to the millions that were killed because God had mercy on them and gave them Gehenna in this world so they can go automatically into the next world. God, it says in the Torah that if a person is killed because he's a Jew, then he gets automatically into the next world. But I don't want to go and dwell into that. That's your humble, yours truly humble opinion. You know, recently Netanyahu said God doesn't protect us all the time. Remember that statement over there?
Yes.
But you know, he doesn't realize that this is not the wherewithal. This life is just a stepping stone. We want to go to the soul world. It says over there in Kehelis, we read on Shabbos Chalamoid Sukkos. And over there, you know, vanity of vanities, everything is vain. But the point is, what happened over there in the last chapter of Kehelis, chapter 12, verse 7, the soul returns to God who gave it. The soul returns to God who gave it. Yes, there is a physical form, but it's not the most importance. It's the soul that lives on forever. The soul returns to God who gave it. And what does it say in Kehelis? The last sentence in chapter 12, which is the last paragraph of Kehelis, you know what it says over there? It says, the sum of the matter is, when everything is considered, awe and fear of God and the performance of the commandments is what matters. Again, 12 in Kehelis, Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 7. What does it say? It says that the sum of the matter is, when everything is considered, the awe and fear of God and the performance of the commandments is what matters. Look, we're doing this on October 2nd, and I want to go into a little bit on how Abraham, right? Abraham, our father, Jewish people, how he realized that there was a God. And Rabbi Victor Miller writes this in his book on on Rejoice O Youth, I think on page 53 or 33 or 83. Anyway, these are the examples. First of all, he saw that the planet was there was always plan and purpose in everything. Plan and purpose, and he saw that the trees and the fruits that were given over were like a cracker box jock. There was always a reward inside, and reward was the was a seed. Was a seed. Now you eat a fruit, whether it's say for instance a peach or a fruit that has a stone to it. It's so hard you can't bite into it because the seed is inside. But once this seed, this hard rock hits the ground, it opens up automatically. You don't need a nutcracker or anything. And the same thing with citrus fruits. You eat an orange or a tangerine or a grapefruit. What do you experience if you bite into the seed? What do you experience?
It's not good.
It's a bitter taste. It's a bitter taste. So you don't eat the seed. And that's the same thing with watermelon. You can't bite into it because it slips away. And also the apple, it has a shield in front of it, in front of the seeds. It's like a plastic shield. It's telling you can't bite into this area because the seed is protected by this plastic shield. And he saw that for instance an apple has a stem, and in that stem all kinds of nutrients come and are made to form an apple. When the DNA of the apple tells it it's time to make a fruit and time to make a flower, so they get all the chemicals and the roots by osmosis. The root hairs bring up the food to the and look at the transportation system. Look at the veins. Look at the veins that the leaves have. This is not an apple leaf. Leaf, but it's for illustrational purposes, that to show you that the transportation system of all these chemicals are going back and forth from photosynthesis in the leaves all the way down back to the roots and all the needs that it has to send it back and forth. Who had the biggest chemical companies couldn't produce the chemicals, the liquid that it sends through these leaves, and yet alone transport it. Yeah, so that was, he saw plan and purpose. We saw plan and purpose in everything. So the other thing was, everything was for man's, Abraham saw everything was for man's use. You know, even tigers and lions. Why were they created? Because the people in Africa didn't have any leather goods that they could make clothes out of, because it was a warm climate. So they had the skins of the lion and the leopard to cover themselves. Yeah. So also he saw that man, unlike all the other animals, was never satisfied. In other words, they give an animal food. And he's happy, you know, sheltered, he's happy, he lives a good life. But man, he give him all the basic materials, and he continues to want. And what is this want? Why was he given such emotional emotions in this short-lived life of 70, 80 years? And the intelligence that was far in excess that was needed. It was because it was a next world. Abraham concluded that there must be another world where there are souls, where they come after the physical existence is ended. So so you have plan and purpose. You have everything was for man's use. He observed that everything that man had was never sufficient. He wanted another world, and I think he concluded it was another world. And he saw that God did never appear in person. There was no physical form. So we had to follow his deeds. We had to follow his deeds. And that's what we try to do, emulate all the good things that he did. And that's why we've been traveled, we've been exiled all over the world. We're to show this to the world by example. That's why we've been exiled. And that's why, praise the Lord. That's one aspect of living of Judaism, but it's also our relationship with other people, setting good examples so that people will realize that the belief in the God that we have gave us all of these materials to live by. Going to Shabbos on. Okay, I want to speak a little bit to Yonah. Yonah is a dear friend that we met recently, and I want to say, could you say a few words on what your plans are for the future?
My plans, first of all, I want to thank you so much for having me on your program.
It's my pleasure.
I really, I feel so grateful to be here, and it's always nice. I always get a lot of inspiration listening to you speak. So thank you very much. As far as my plans, I try to live every day. Every day I try to be grateful for all the time that I have, and God willing, soon, we'll all see a lot of bracha in our lives in all aspects. And I want to give a lot of bracha to everybody who's watching this. Also, a lot of blessings and success. Now is Sukkot, and now is a time where it's all pouring down in abundance. So I hope everybody's trying to take it all in the sukkah.
You want to? Yeah, that's a sukkah. We have an esrog and a lulav. But I want to tell you that if people want any further information about Yonah, they can call me. As I said, he's a motivated man, interested in having a wife, so that he can have a large family, and it should be a Kiddush Hashem. Look, you want to show the people how you bench esrog and how you bench lulav and the dalit, because we're doing this on Chalamoid Sukkot, right? So
yeah. Sure. So I'm a lefty, so I hold it in my left hand. If you're a righty, you'll hold the lulav in your right hand. So keep the esrog down until you say the bracha, and you're going to recite 2 brachot. The first bracha, the first blessing, you're going to say it on the lulav, and then if it's your first time shaking the lulav in etrog, you're going to then say a shechianu, which is
we reach this time of year we
second bracha. So again, this is how you hold it. So you turn it around.
After the bracha.
After the bracha, you say Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam Asher Kiddushanu V'Mitzvotav V'Tzivanu Al Netilat Lulav. And then you take the etrog and you turn it around, and then you say Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam Shechianu V'Kiyimanu V'Higianu Azman Hazeh. Then you give it a good shake, and you're good to go.
And why do we say the benching the bracha over the lulav and not the esrog? Because the esrog is such a beautiful fruit, you know.
Right. Good question.
Yeah. So because this has three minim, three types. Oh, this is only one. Hey, where am I? So yeah. So where am I? Yeah, am I on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see.
Yeah.
I'm losing my sight. I'm losing my hearing. Is there any, the other parting words that you want to say? Because I want the people to give me a call over here. I'm at 516-295-4233. And it may be that you have a young somebody that's motivated, that wants to marry an observant young man. So you'll leave a message and you'll tell us. So I took him from his work day, so I'm going to say, Yona, have a happy day, and we'll see each other. We live on the same street.
Yes. Thank you very much, everybody. I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah. So it's hard to get people to learn and to watch and it's just difficult. People, I'm talking about Jewish people, that even if you never had a Jewish education, start off with the books that we mention all the time. The books by Rabbi Millers, Behold the People. It's written in very simple English. Behold the people, and Rejoice, O Youth. They're about $15 a copy. You can get it on Amazon, and you look at a few pages of each, and there's a lot of different thoughts that go into it. Every session we do, we learn Talmud. Talmud, Torah, and Talmud for all. You see a book like this, it may frighten you. You say, "Wow, it's so hard. Look at the language and everything." But they come out with paperback covers of different chapters in the Talmud, and we do every week. We do a Talmud a lesson. And we do the first Talmud's explanation of the written Bible, because you can't put everything in the Bible, all the particulars. Like for instance, it says in 12:21 in Deuteronomy, you should slaughter as I commanded you. You should slaughter. We're talking about animals to be eaten. You should slaughter as I commanded you. In other words, Moshe was shown exactly how to slaughter an animal, so it would be according to the Jewish law and according to the life of the animal being killed to be very less harmful, and those laws were given as as opposed to the recent holiday of Rosh Hashanah, chapter was it in Numbers chapter 29:1. 29:1. It says over there, it's a day of blowing. It's a day of blowing. What is it talking about? Shofar. Blowing the shofar. But what does it commemorate? So that the Talmud goes into detail exactly what it is, and you should afflict yourself. Yeah. So again, we're going to go into Talmud a little bit, but remember that I just forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, so remember, you should try to have a friend look into the video. You know, it's on the internet under Google search Yeshiva Classroom. And this one that I was doing now is 469. It won't be, it's 468 is there. There's all many numbers. But the point is, maybe you can get into picking up on a thought and maybe ask what it might lead to, a question you might have on something that was said on a program. So again, as we were saying, we were learning how Jews became chosen, how Jews became chosen, how Jews became chosen, and it was in Genesis where Abraham figured out, being that he had such lineage that his forefathers are mentioned: Noah, Shem, or Pakshad, Shelach, Eber, Peleg, Roy, Shroig, Nachar, Terach, Abraham. These names are mentioned. These are generational leaders with exceptional qualities, exceptional aptitudes, and they were all packaged into Abraham, where he was able to determine and perform the commandments that were later given a few hundred years later by God to Moses. So that's why he was chosen. He, as a reward, was given a reward that his posterity will be great. His posterity will be great. They will have greatness in all of their descendants. And we see, you know, what's the purpose of us going all over to exile all over the world? Because wherever we went, even though we lost some through whatever means, we still kept the directives and the commandments that there are in the Torah, and we live by them. Shabbos being the most holiest day of the year, because on that day we emulate God, because He ceased and rested, so to speak, from all the labors that He performed. But we have to delve into, what does it mean, rested, right? What does it mean, rested? Rested, he rested, and we rest. It means that the Shabbos and the work and the rest we do on it must not transgress the 39 different types of malacha or work that was performed in constructing the sanctuary. 39 different acts of malacha, which is considered work, should not be performed on the Shabbos. In other words, Shabbos supersedes the building of a temple. And that's what it said over there in 25:8, in Exodus chapter 25:8. You should write these down, look them up, memorize them. What does it say, 25:8? Build for me a tabernacle so that I might dwell amongst you. And the people contributed mightily. But when it came to the Shabbos, no work was done. None of those malacha, aka work, that was done. So I mean, we could carry up a whole load of books or chairs from one floor to the next floor and give us work up a big sweat. But that's not considered a malacha, aka work. So we have to know what is permitted and what is not permitted. But it should be known that God breathed into the soul of man. It's chapter 3 in Genesis. God breathed into the soul of man. That breath gave man the ability to choose between right and wrong. He has a natural inborn quality to choose between right and wrong. And the Jew has an additional charge in his DNA, which is to be great, rewarded by Abraham figuring out the commandments of the Torah several hundred years before Moshe got it. And we brought, if you just tuned in late, we gave you the 7 ways where he came up and concluded that there was a God in the universe, and God had a plan for man to live. It says in Deuteronomy 4:1, do the commandments and you will live. It's talking about keeping Shabbos, keeping kashrus, keeping kosher, being great to your fellow man. You should love your neighbor as yourself. That's in Leviticus 19:18. All the so-called religions want to say it came from their loins, but the basic information is from the Torah, also known, aka the Jewish Bible. We have one Bible, and that is the 5 books of Moses, and also the explanation of that book, which is the Talmud, which explains all the commandments that we just can't take literally. Again, there are 24 written books of the Bible, 5 books of Moses. You have the book of Joshua. You have the book of Shoftim, in English they Judges. Very interesting a book where all the leaders of the Jewish world after Joshua came, and how they declared that Gideon said, I'm not going to be your king after he won the battle. I'm not going to be your king, nor my son. But because God is king, we always tell that. That's the book of Judges, Shoftim, and then after that came Shmuel, Samuel, right? 2 books of Samuel, and Kings is two books of Kings, where the last king was Sidkiyahu, and he was taken captive and brought to Babel. 70 years later, the people were given under Cyrus, the Babylonian king, permission to build a second temple. So thus we have 24 books, and we have Jewish leadership of over 850 years. You have the book of Joshua. You have 14 years. You have the book of Shoftim, Judges, and Samuel, which is about 400 years, and then you have the Book of Kings, another 400 years. So we have 850 years. There was a hiatus of 70 years when the Second Temple was built, and then you have another 420 years, right? 420. Second Temple lasted 420 years when destroyed by the Romans, and after that, that's 1290 years of Jewish leadership, and the leaders being Jewish, and the 40 years of Moses in the desert, that's 1310 years. Over Moshe in the desert, that's 1310 years. Yeah, so remember that this program basically says why the Jewish people are chosen, how they became chosen. And in short, it was because Abraham figured out on his own, a couple hundred years before the Torah was given, the mitzvahs, the commandments, the directives, the ordinances that his family should live by. That his family should live by. And we still live by it today. But today, we're having a little different type of a teaching, in that prior to this, we were sent around the world to the Arab-speaking countries, the European-speaking English-speaking countries, and we were to live by those commandments and show that there is a God in the universe, that there is a God in the universe without form, a God without form. For those that don't want to become Jews, look at Noahide, Noahide, Noahide congregations. They don't believe in a man God. So that's so much for that. But today, the Jewish people are winning the battle, in that we have in Israel a committed, observant Jewish body that lives by the directives of the Torah. Lives by the directives of the Torah. And they even have 3 parties, political parties, that are solely based on the fact that we want the state to be run according to the laws of the Torah. We're running into a little bit of roadblocks or potholes on the way. I mean, the Supreme Court wants to, with the judicial reform, the Supreme Court wants to stack the deck with their non-observant, progressive types of decisions, and they want to appoint their own judges. So it just continues on. They want to appoint their own judges, even though the Knesset, which has elected officials by the populace, want to be right-wing and religious. And the Supreme Court says it's unconstitutional. Well, there's no constitution in Israel, but they have a law called reasonableness. If it's not reasonable, we're going to reject the law that you made in the Knesset, which was ruled by which was voted in by the people. It's not reasonable what the people think. The Supreme Court should decide. And who is the Supreme Court? A bunch of leftist, non-observant Jews who make all kind of laws based on their reason. They have reason why it shouldn't be a law. Now, look what they demonstrate. They break up. You see, they're breaking up Tel Aviv religious observances on Yom Kippur and the Sukkah. They won't let them build. They can't keep. The mayor of Tel Aviv is such an Jewish person, and he's the mayor, the socialist, leftist, progressive in Tel Aviv. They think that the right wing is going to make the restrictions on them and make it hard for them to live, and therefore they send around all those anarchists and the communists and disrupt the people from hearing what the problem is in judicial reform. Even in the papers today, I saw a weekly paper that said, I don't know if it's The World, I think I'm not sure, but it said, oh, the Jews want to make a change in certain things, and basically they only lead the government only has a plurality of 4 seats, and they can't make laws. That's what they're saying in the editorial. They can't make laws saying that they're changing things around based on a majority of 4 seats. A majority is a majority when it comes to passing laws. And just like we have anti-Semites in the years going by, because we didn't observe the rules, so God let these people come into the fore. Here you have Biden and his administration only want to have a state in the midst of Israel, an Arab state, another 23rd state in the midst of the Holy Land where King Solomon and David and all the historical facts of the Bible were observed and performed. And they're making this normalization between Saudi Arabia and Israel because Israel can lend a hand in combating Iran. And Biden is trying to block it. He's going to give money away right away. They're worrying about the next election. He's given scholarships scholarship loans. They're going to wipe them across. It's already been decided that you can't do it. But he persists. He has his Jewish cohorts doing the dirty work for him. He has NIDES, N-I-D-E-S was the ambassador to Israel until they made him resign, because he said if Smotrich and Ben Gvir was on a plane with me, I'll throw him off. This is a cabinet member of the Israeli government elected by the rank and file people in election time. Now he says, I'll throw him off the plane. And they mix into internal policy. They mix into Israel's internal policy. They think that Israel is not a star in that blue background of America. It's an independent country. Let America worry about its own politics. Namely, they stole the land of the American Indian, and every year they tried to speak to Congress about giving back the lands and the state parks that belong to the Indians. There are several dozen tribes. You hear anything mentioned of it? They buttonhole it. They give them a casino and forget about them. Look, Ben and Jerry, they drove, in Vermont, they drove the tribe of Abel. There was the Indian tribe there. They drove it out of the Vermont into Canada. That precipitated the French-Indian Wars. No. Let them worry about their own thing. That's because Hashem has sent the evil inclination on those naturally evil anti-Semites to do damage to Israel subtly as the best they can, but actually they really want to do it so that the public won't become aware of what they're doing. And little Israel stands alone, and in a couple of years they'll be in a majority. They won't be able to. The Israel government will be led by a religious people, knowledge of Torah and mitzvahs, and from Kimetz Yom Teisei Torah, from Zion, it will come Torah, will come out of Torah from Zion, and we'll get into Huldah and Tel Aviv and all those people. We've got to re-educate them. They don't know what the Torah is. So we have to talk a little bit about Torah, right? And you know, this book on Masorah Publications, 718, you got your pen, 921-9000. 921-9000. This is the Talmud, right? And it's in paperback form. It comes about $10 a thing. Everything's in English, but you have to read the footnotes. And over there it says, we got about, how much? We got about 5 minutes left. So over there it says, the first Talmud says, from when to when do we learn, do we say the Shema Yisrael prayer of the evening, which can be found in the Torah, chapter 6, verse 5, in Deuteronomy. So what are the parameters for saying the Shema Yisrael? That's the question. Everything's questions and answers, but the answer is like you got to go beat around the bush to get actually how they wrote it. And the answer is from the time the Kohanim entered to eat their truma. The question is, from when? What are the parameters we can say the Shema Yisrael of the evening? And the answer is from the time the Kohanim entered to eat their truma. Rashi on the side tells us that happens to be when the 3 stars come out. The people were Tomei, the Kohanim had the duchen, they had to lead the prayer service in the evening, and the temple work that they had to do. So at 3 stars they could begin to work, and when 3 stars come out, everybody could say the Shema Yisrael prayer of the evening and fulfill the obligation, b'yotze. So from when to when? When the Kohanim entered eat the truma. But they ask, well, why didn't it write when they ate their truma? Why didn't it write that? Why didn't they write when the 3 stars come out? And the answer is that they want to teach you by the way. They want to teach you by the way. And now at the end parameter, there are 3 opinions. Rabbi Yehuda Nafti wrote everything down. Everything he wrote down, all the opinions, and he wrote it down in the Talmud. So he wrote Rabbi Eliezer. The majority said to Hasos, and there's another opinion said till Ayala Hashacha, until the morning star arises. There are 3 opinions. We have to study all the 3 opinions. But I see my time is short, So I want to tell you a very important point that my son Moshe Aaron, he has one name, right? Moshe Aaron, is not a Chinese name or English name. So he has God has given him a greatness in that not only does he care about himself, but he cares about Jews should feel great, and how do you feel great is by learning. So he had and a few people, they built up a sukkah over Sukkot, right? This is 2 days ago, second day of Sukkot over in Jersey, and they have everybody to give a Devar Torah. Everybody gives a Devar Torah, open mic, and he does this. He does this all the time on Friday nights and on Yom Tov, so that everybody gives a thought. It shouldn't be more than 5 minutes. And many of us are not public speakers, and they're not the best types of deliverance, but everybody tries and you improve, and that should be initiated over here. It's the kingdom, Malachim Kohanim. It's the kingdom of priests. Everyone is entitled to know and to learn and to give over. So that's what we had to do, and that's why the synagogue over here and wherever you daven in Nassau County or wherever you go, there should be open mic. Let everybody work, not just sit down like a couch potato, but listen, but work and I put a lot of work in it, but I just happen to be God. I feel that I'm trying to emulate God's deeds. I mean, but you go over it and over it, and Micah said 3 things. He said, do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with God. Walk humbly with God. How do you walk humbly with God? In your spare time, you speak of Torah to yourself. Review it so that you can memorize it. I mean, I'm not a fantastic brain, but I mean, but I like to memorize and do the thoughts and read Behold the People. Do me one favor. I ask of you, get the book Behold a People by Rabbi Millers. It's about $15. It'll be a synopsis of all the books in the Bible. You won't be able to, how are you going to read Haftorah if you don't know who the king was, or who the prophet was, or who he ministered to? Get the book Behold a People. Behold a People by Rabbi Millers. And just one concluding thought, and that is basically the Yonah. On Yom Kippur, we wrote about, we read the book of Yonah. The prophet had a deliverance to give to the people of Nineveh because they transgressed, and he told them that the city would be destroyed, and he didn't want to give it because he knew the people would do repentance. So he took a ship and he ran out to the ocean, and the sailors threw him in the water, and the whale brought him to shore again, and he went to Nineveh, and he told them that the city will be destroyed, and they repented, and the city was saved, and he looked like a fool. Fast forward to Yirmiyahu. He was given a charge to tell the people that the city would be destroyed. And he went around telling people that the city would be destroyed. Jerusalem. And it was destroyed. Because the people listened to Hananiah ben Azov, a false prophet, who prophesied that the city will not be destroyed. It will be saved. You will live happily. Don't worry, the temple will save you. And as a result, the Jewish people didn't do repentance, tshuva, tefillah, and tzedakah. Nobody did it. They listened to Hananiah, and the city was destroyed. Okay, with that, I'm going to conclude, and basically, we want to say that what does the famous scholar Hillel say? He said, if I am not for myself, who will be for me? And if I am only for myself, what am I? If not now, when? Thank you, and God bless.